Center. Today's mission will use the last born vehicle of our family, the lightweight Vega, for once operated by the European Space Agency as part of the VERTA program. Vega is set to deliver the Intermediate Experimental Vehicle, IXV, into a suborbital trajectory for subsequent re-entry, descent and recovery in the Pacific Ocean less than 2 hours after liftoff. IXV is a pathfinder to increase Europe's capabilities in mastering state-of-the-art technologies, particularly involved in manned space transportation. Vega should lift off from its pad in Kourou within a window extending from 10 to 11:43 local time. From liftoff until spacecraft separation, the elapsed time will be about 18 minutes. I would like to thank warmly the European Space Agency, with whom we continue to work hand in hand, for its continued support to our activities and for involving Arianespace in space technology development activities as thrilling as those at stake tonight. My gratitude also goes to the Italian space industry. Indeed, Vega prime contractor is ELV, a company jointly owned by Avio and the Italian Space Agency. Regarding IXV, the prime contractor is Thales Alenia Space Italy within the framework of an ESA contract. It is worth noting that IXV will be the 140th payload manufactured by Thales Alenia Space and launched by Arianespace launch vehicles. Such a significant milestone shows better than any words the close ties existing between Arianespace and TAS, and I appreciate that. But the fourth Vega is now being readied for launch, so enjoy the show.
Greetings, everybody, wherever you may be, and welcome once again to Kourou, the home of the Ariane family, for our launch today of Vega. We're coming to you live, as we always do, from the Jupiter Mission Control Building. It's the heart of the space base and the center of all the action, and we're very pleased to see all of our VIPs and customers and our invited guests and friends on hand to share the moment with us. You can follow the broadcast in English or in a French translation, thanks to our interpreters, Catherine and Sarah. A moment ago, you heard Stefan Israel mention the payload tonight, which is the re-entry demonstrator. The re-entry system is very important for the European space program. As you know, if we ever want to bring back samples, rocks, say, from another planet, or if you want to return home a manned crew, we're going to have a re-entry system. So it's a very important launch today, and we're going to be talking about its impact on the future of the European space effort during the broadcast, so we hope you will stay with us. To open up things, take a look at the launch vehicle. 4 stages, if you've never seen Vega before. They use both solid and liquid propellant. The first 3 stages run on solid fuel, and the 4th is a liquid propellant system. The 4th stage also reignitable, and that's an important point. We'll come back to that later on. Vega is used for small satellites. By small, we mean lighter than those carried by Ariane or Soyuz, the other members of the Ariane family. Vega is used for satellites in the 1 to 2 ton class, extending access to space for what they call mini or micro satellites, and there's a big market for them. Over 1,000 people from 40 European countries and industries have come together on the Vega program. It's an interesting story, and we'll have some of it for you during the broadcast later on. To open up things at the top of the broadcast, we like to introduce you to some of the key players who are responsible for making the mission happen. We're going to look into the Arianespace Flight Directorate, also called the Flight Desk, led by Stefan Israel. And with him, we should be seeing Gail Winters, who's representing ESA. from we're going to go to an interview with Jean-Jacques Dordain, ESA's Director General. Very happy to see Jean-Jacques here again. Welcome.
Thank you. Bonjour.
We're going to talk about the IXV for just a few moments. I was going to say a big day for ESA, but it's another big day for ESA.
Yes, it's another big day, but I would say 2 days in one, because today we have the first launch of Vega, which is still in the transition period between being a baby under ESA responsibility and an adult under the Arianespace responsibility. So the first launch of Vega is an event per se. And after that, the mission of IXV, it's another event which will make Europe and European industry entering into the future with this technology demonstrator, demonstrating re-entry and reutilization at the same time.
Now we are in between stages, as you mentioned. I see the I in IXV stands for intermediate. Why intermediate?
Because it's one step further on a series of demonstrators that we have developed. We have started by the ARD, which was a capsule launched by Ariane 5 in the late 90s. After that, we have developed the second step was Expert, which is a re-entry vehicle, which unfortunately is not yet launched, but the development is over. Today we have IXV, which is another step with a lifting body and a lot of new technologies. And beyond IXV, there is already a name, a pride, and a program which will take the succession of IXV. And at the end, we shall have operational vehicles.
There were, I imagine, some technical challenges to the project, because there always are some technical challenges. Could you care to talk about those?
Oh yes, there is a lot of technical challenges, because this type of lifting body, it's a new type of body, taking the benefit of the simplicity of a capsule and the capacity of maneuver of a winged vehicle. So it's a lot of technologies concerning aerodynamic, concerning thermal problems, navigation and control, and all these technology will be tested really during this flight.
All right, briefly, some people are wondering, IXV comes out of ESA's launcher, not the satellite director. Is there a reason for that?
There is only one ESA. I must say that there are some directorates, but this is not the important part. There is only one ESA. And the fact that this is in the launcher directorate is not a problem, it's only a solution.
Okay, Jean-Jacques Dordain, once again, ESA Director General. Many thanks. Jean-Jacques is going to take a seat. I'm going to go up to the broadcast booth. While we're moving around, take a look at a film on the launch campaign. You can see how Vega is put together. Parts of Vega arrived in Kourou from Europe, Italy mainly, by ship last July. The Zefiro second and third stages were transferred to their dedicated preparation zone until being moved to the launch pad. The first stage, called the P-80, was transferred vertically on September 22nd to the launch zone and placed on its launch table. All 4 stages of Vega are assembled vertically. The P-80 first stage, then the Zefiro 23 second stage, and the Z-9 Zefiro third stage. These all use solid propulsion. The 4th stage, called the Avum, is hoisted atop these. Unlike the bottom 3 stages, the Avum uses liquid propellant and is reignitable. The IXV, or Intermediate Experimental Vehicle, arrived by air on September 24th. This is the first time that Vega will launch a 2-ton payload. It will test re-entry technologies and systems for future European Space Agency vehicles. The IXV fuel tanks were filled on January 20th. It was placed on its adapter, then encapsulated in the fairing 9 days later. All these operations are monitored by operational teams on the ground during daily meetings. The full composite was then transferred to the launch zone on February 3rd, where it was mated atop the Vega launcher. After final preparations, the now complete Vega vehicle is ready for liftoff. and a family photo of all the people involved in the preparation of today's mission.
To perform this mission, we have to launch towards the east direction, and so we will use the ground station network, which is standard for east missions, such as GTO for Ariane 5. So we will use Gallo, Natal, Ascension, and Libreville in order to perform the separation of the vehicle at about 18 minutes after the liftoff. But for us, the mission is not finished. We have to deorbit the upper stage in order to leave no debris into the space after the end of the mission. And to perform this deorbitation of the upper stage, we will perform a complete turn around the Earth, which lasts about 1 hour and a half. Then there will be a second passage over the ground station network. Once we have the guarantee that the final maneuver is performed correctly, we will consider that the launcher mission is finished.
Un rouge lanceur. Que tous les moyens restent prêts pour la reprise de la chronologie à H0-4 minutes en cas de retour au vert.
That was the DDO who has just announced, as you can see on the screen, we have a red up on the right-hand corner at 4 minutes and 25 seconds. The clock has been stopped. It's too early to say why. But before we say why, we want to welcome Salvatore Mancuso, who's up here in the broadcast booth from ESA. Salvatore is the IXV system manager. Welcome.
Good morning, Joshua, and greetings to everyone for this exciting day for Europe today. I'd like to express my special greetings to the IXV operational team, which is deployed all over the world. As you know, we have people in Turin, in the IXV Mission Control Center, but also in Africa, in the Libreville and Malindi stations operating the antenna receivers, and of course here in Kourou and in the Pacific Ocean on board of the recovery ship. And here in Jupiter we have the mission director Giorgio Tumino making sure that everything is working correctly.
You can see on the right the green status panels are a go, no-go summary of everything it takes to launch and follow Vega, and you can see it's not 100% green, because you can see a fourth up from the bottom is Ensemble de lancement in French, meaning in English roughly the launch base. So something is not as it should be somewhere in the launch base, and what the teams are doing now, I imagine, is they are calling around the base, finding out what the problem is, and the second question is, will we be able to launch in the window that we have? The window is 1 hour and 45 minutes, long window.
Right.
So we should have plenty of time. As soon as we have more news on that, we will, of course, pass it along. For the moment, we're stopped at the countdown at 4:25 on our first mission of the year for Vega.
So Joshua was in fact coming back from the fishbowl down from Jupiter and getting the information from the spacecraft. I can tell you from IXV side, all is green. Also, meteo is good at the splashdown. So from the IXV point of view, we are ready to be launched. We are waiting this rouge from the launch base.
Now, what happens when we get a red? It's actually quite normal. It's like a stop sign. It's like a stop sign. It's red, so we stop and think, right? It's anything unexpected forces us to stop and think. People begin, as I mentioned, to examine the unexpected parameter, whatever it is, whatever it may be, and then later on, people begin to examine how to move back into the launch window. So that's what's going on right now. There is a red logic and a red procedure, and it's the same for everybody, whether you're on the satellite side or the launcher side or the downrange station side. So actually, you can say a red is a normal option. Doesn't seem like that when you first think about it. But we say that because when a red appears, it's something that has been prepared and planned. So there's no reason to panic. It's all been foreseen. Red is also a means of communicating information, right?
Yes.
So we call it a momentary interruption in our sequence, because the systems, when you get down close to liftoff, as we are now, with minus 4 minutes, as you see, all these systems are constantly being monitored. There are actually thousands of measurements, electrical systems and pressures and temperature, speeds, and all these things. And if one doesn't show precisely what it should, we get a red automatically. Arianespace, of course, ESA and CNES, leaving nothing to chance. They won't give the green light unless everything is picture perfect. So we have our red, and we are determining what caused it, and we are going to see if we can fix it. All that is going on right now. And to you, tell us more about your project.
So IXV, you already heard it from Jean-Jacques Dordain. This is a re-entry demonstrator. Is a really fantastic project for Europe. It's the second time we try to do the re-entry for Europe. The first attempt was in 1998 with the atmospheric re-entry demonstrator.
That was Arianespace flight number 112.
Yeah, it was Ariane 5, yes.
It was one of the first Ariane 5 qualification
Indeed.
flights. Yeah, and I remember, as long as you mention it, I remember that the ADR weighed much more than you weigh tonight. You're what, 1,800 kilos?
Yes, we are a bit more than 1,800 kilos.
This ADR, I think, I have the figure somewhere, I think it was like 2,700.
But Ariane 5 is much more powerful than Vega, so of course you don't have mass limitations.
Of course. We are still holding, if you just joined us, we opened with a red on the launch base here. So what's happening is there are, up at the launch base, there's a team of 100 or 200 men and women who are looking at these parameters. I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut away and give everybody a chance to go find some more information, and we're going to put up a message on the screen saying that we will be back. We're going to go, why don't you go down in the fishbowl and get some,
yes, I can try to get some
talk to your
info,
people,
yes.
and I'll do the same. And we will, as soon as we have some information, we will of course get back to you. But we are holding in the countdown. As you can see, there's one red bar. Just one will do it. So while Salvatore goes down into the fishbowl, as they call it, the fishbowl, when I say fishbowl, it's the big glass partition here separating the VIPs and invited guests on this side, on the red side of Jupiter, about 250 seats, from the operational people that are on the inside, operational people and Arianespace, CNES, ESA, and the customers, of course. So we call it the fishbowl because that's what it looks like. So you're going to go down there.
Yes, I'm going to see if I can get some information.
You have a lot of people then. All right, we're going to put up the crawl, and as soon as we have some information, we'll be back with more. Stay tuned. If you just joined us, we had a red at 4 minutes. The red was due to a slight telemetry loss between the launcher and the telemetry station here in Kourou called Galileo. The DDO is going to explain that. She's going to recommence the final sequence.
Top. H0 -4 minutes.
So we're re-beginning again at -4 minutes. You can see the clock is ticking again. We have a new H0 launch time, which is 13 hours and 40 minutes universal time, which means local. It's 10:40. Still gives us plenty of time. I think we lost, what, 40 minutes?
We lost 40 minutes. We still have 1 hour to go.
And this is the flight directorate, and you might remember when we before our interview with Jean-Jacques Dordain, we were going to see these people and give you an explanation of what they do, and now you understand why they weren't there. And we went prematurely to Jean-Jacques because they were all meeting, discussing this telemetry problem. So everything is explained eventually. Basically, we're ticking again. We are moving up on -3 minutes. The launcher is set to go again. How about the spacecraft?
Yes, I was down again on the fishbowl trying to get some information, and I confirmed the spacecraft is still green and Meteo is still green. So from IXV side, we are good to go.
We are good to go. This is the flight director, Patrick Loire, who is the heads up the Arianespace installations here in Kourou. And I was going to say before the interview with Jean-Jacques, any problem comes up and these men make the decision of what to do about it, but they were already deciding what to do about it when we were down there. In any case, we're looking at the Vega Launch Management Center now. There are a lot of other places where people are hard at work tonight. This is one of them. Jupiter is one. This is one. This is the Launch Control Center in the same building as the Ariane 5 Control Center mission control overall provided from the same Jupiter building here, where most of us are tonight. We are about 14 kilometers away. These men and women here are a lot closer. They're about 3 kilometers from the pad. They're protected by a blockhouse with walls that are about 1 meter thick. And all the final operations that we're going through now at -2 minutes, monitored by these people, the final operations and the final countdowns. Now you were just in the fishbowl and you said everything is...
yes.
The mood is still upbeat.
Yeah, mood is still high.
Okay. Launch time is going to be 10:40, as we mentioned, local, so it's 13:40 in Europe. We had, again, our long window, which was 1 hour and 45 minutes, and we lost it. We lost 40 minutes. Go.
Joshua, I think I'm going to go outside to see the launch.
30.
Yes,
A minute 30.
So I'm just going to go into the terrace and
All
I'll
right.
be back soon after.
Don't get lost. Salvatore has never seen a launch from here. Those of you who have, you know that there are 4 terraces on either side, and you should probably soon be seeing the invited guests stepping out there.
DDO. Attention pour au moins 1 minute.
The DDO, Laura, is going to be calling out the 1 minute mark.
Top. H0 moins 1 minute.
And here we are, we're down to the final 60 seconds. So Salvatore's out there, and when we bring the cameras back into Jupiter, you can see the people here in the hall are getting up, making their way to see this daytime launch. It's quite a show when you see from here. You can see Vega's path tonight will take us right over Jupiter. When she goes, flies to the north, it's not the case. But the people here will get treated to lovely shots. 1 minute to go. Half a minute to go, I should say. You're watching Arianespace's Vega, flight number 4, launching IXV for the European Space Agency. You can watch it all on the internet.
Attention pour les décomptes finales.
Final countdown coming up. You hear the DDO call out the numbers.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Top. Allumage P80, décollage. La trajectoire est normale, le pilotage est calme. Tous les paramètres à bord sont nominaux.
Well, you saw Vega rise. You saw Vega rise like an arrow, surprisingly fast if you're used to watching Ariane 5. 4 seconds, I think it took, before she cleared the pad. Those of you familiar with Ariane know that the heavier launcher rises a lot more slowly.
Est nominale.
She weighs over 6 times what Vega does. The DDO is saying that everything is normal on board, lifting off perfectly from French Guiana.
Acquisition de la télémesure lanceur par la station des Saint-Georges.
Beginning the 4th mission in her young career. I can see from here the people, there's nobody left in the hall. They're all out on the terraces. They're snapping their cameras. Some are clapping as the Vega passes overhead.
Acquisition de la télémesure lanceur par la station navale lanceur au large de la Guyane.
Everything is okay on board. Salvatore, I imagine, is snapping pictures. As soon as he comes in, we'll get his reaction. The first stage is burning now.
La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres sont normaux.
First stage weighs 97 tons. 88 tons of that are fuel. It's quite a heavy ratio. The first stage is produced near Rome at Colleferro, then delivered to the French Guiana propellant plant here, where it's loaded with fuel, and then transferred to the booster integration building. Coming up on separation of the first stage in just about 3 seconds, and you'll see that on the animation on the cartoon.
Séparation P80.
There, the DDO has called out. Right on time at 53 kilometers
Allumage
up
VV04.
and at 1 minute and 53 seconds. You see the ignition of the second stage. You can see on the bottom of
La
the screen
trajectoire est nominale.
the altitude 62 kilometers and our speed on the right just over 2 kilometers per second. The
Les
second
paramètres
stage,
sont normaux.
called the Zefiro 23, ignited right on time, again at 53 kilometers up. In about a minute, we'll have separation of the second stage. Then 30 seconds after that, the fairing will be jettisoned. You'll get
La
to see
trajectoire
that.
est nominale, tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Everything is functioning flawlessly on board, as Didio Laura Apollonini says, calls out the numbers. Then in about 6 minutes and a half into the flight, we'll see separation of the last solid stage. Well, Salvatore has returned, and he's beaming. What did you see out there?
Yes, Joshua, it was really fun. Yes, Joshua, it was really fantastic. Wonderful view, not many clouds. We could see it up to very high, very bright light of the engine, and then the sound coming up after a few seconds after seeing it going up. Really exciting.
What was the most impressive, the sight of the sound?
The light was really bright. I mean, the P80, the first stage flame was really incredible.
All right. Now that you're back, take a look at the upper right-hand corner of the screen. There's a curve there. You see the cursor climbing up the path there as we have extinction of the second stage. What are we looking at on the upper
Yes,
right?
what you are looking there is basically the predicted trajectory, and the which is the curve there, and the dot which move is the actual current position. So it means that if you see the dot on the curve, everything is nominal and as predicted.
Because I think we have two flight paths superimposed one on the other. We have the optimal flight path, and with that is the actual.
The actual one, yes.
So as long as we're one on top of another, we're right where we should be. The DDO has just called out the ignition of the third stage, and there you saw the separation of the fairing, revealing the re-entry demonstrator to the elements.
Yes, the fairing is normally used to protect all the satellites from the atmospheric drag and heat, and so up to when there is atmosphere, it is kept closed and then it's released.
So we're out of the atmosphere now, so we
Yes.
don't need the fairing anymore, and we can get rid of the dead weight. Another place where things are happening tonight is the Real-Time Visual Control Center. That's located just behind Jupiter here in Kourou. Their facilities stand on top of a hill, and you're looking at these teams as they are actually analyzing the data as they come in from the ground station along Vega's flight path. The launcher sends the data down to the ground stations, pick them up, and send them over to these people. The data are then treated to reconstitute the entire mission later, and after that, the entire flight is recreated in figures from liftoff to satellite separation and analyzed again. So you can imagine the wealth of data that Ariane has for each mission going back over 30 years. These shots are coming from Torino, I think.
Yes,
right?
they are coming from the Mission Control Center in Turin. This is the IXV control center where we receive the telemetry after separation. So at this moment we don't have yet telemetry from IXV. And it's a place where there are all the IXV operators checking that the parameters on board are nominal and that the trajectory is nominal.
There's some of your people out there?
Yes, we have a team of about 10 people from ESA and the same from industry, more or less.
You can see the yellow line is the flight path due east, directly east over Africa. And where the line ends, it's in the middle of the Pacific. That, I assume, is where she's going to come down.
Yes, where we are landing, it's really in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
We'll get to that a little later. At plus 6 minutes, we're waiting for the separation of the third stage. That comes in about half a minute. So our speed now?
Our speed should be around 7.2 kilometers per second, which corresponds to about 26,000 kilometers per hour. It's quite fast. Or if you want, more than 20 times speed of sound. And our altitude should be around 193 kilometers at separation, which you should see now.
You also see now the shutdown of the third stage. And we're waiting for and you saw the Zephyronov, the Zenov, that's also the name of the third stage, being separated. All that's left of the mothership, the white band on the top, is the Avum, that's the fourth stage, which is going to be lit up in a moment.
Yes.
And the bottom part, the black and white, is
the
payload, your baby, the IXV. In 1 minute exactly, we will have the Avum ignition, the first of 3 motors. There's sometimes you might have noticed a slight delay in the time this telemetry information comes in here. This may have been part of the problem earlier, but we don't want to speculate.
This is quite normal also, because there is a bit of delay from the time we get telemetry to the time it's displayed, so it's rather normal.
Which is why sometimes you see the cartoon on the screen, the event is shown before the DDO gets the confirmation, but that's all quite normal.
We are going to see soon the first AVUM burn, and tonight we will have 3 burns. The first one will be used to put the IXV in the correct orbit, in the correct place where we want, altitude and orientation.
Yeah.
And after a bit, there will be a second burn from
longer
AVUM.
one.
Yeah, longer one, which will put the AVUM in another orbital loop, because it will re-enter one orbit after the IXV, so we'll do another loop around the Earth. And a third boost to make the AVUM re-enter.
But we won't see the third.
We will not see it.
That comes in about an hour and a half.
Allumage AVUM.
And you saw in the cartoon the first AVUM ignition has come right on time at 8 minutes and 1 second at 221 kilometers up. AVUM, AVUM, which means?
Attitude and Vernier upper module.
And a Vernier is what?
The Vernier stands for a very high precision engine. It's basically a liquid propulsion motor which is used to let's say recover the perturbances that are acquired during the first stages, where solid motors provide a huge thrust but with less precision.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
On board the AVUM are also all of Vega's avionics, the flight control, mission management, telemetry, power supply, and distribution. Now we want to turn to our guest, Salvatore. Now you've been on the project since the beginning.
Right.
Now what are the points that you're going to remember when it's over?
Yes, that's a nice question. As you know, in any project there are ups and downs. So well, I will start from the downs. In 2009 we started first of all in 2005 with the project, but in 2009 we had a major industrial organization. It was a big setback, so we had to reallocate work to different industries and to perform several tasks. But at the end, I think we had found more innovative solutions, and we are flying today a machine which is really fantastic.
So the reorganization was a positive thing?
Yes, at the end it was indeed positive.
All right. We are going soon to our next film. We have a series of about 8 or 10 films. This next one, you can find out all about how IXV will accomplish its goal of re-entry.
Launching a spacecraft into space is one thing. Bringing it back is another. Forces such as gravity and drag make atmospheric re-entry a very tricky business, but mastering it can open a whole new world of opportunities for Europe.
Re-entry technology is something that Europe has to master to fulfill the ambition to bring up to completion robotic exploration mission, so for a sample return from asteroids or from Mars, as well as for human space flight, if one day we'll have the ambition to have astronauts flying back to Earth with European technologies.
This is precisely the mission of IXV, ESA's intermediate experimental vehicle. A vehicle with the shape of a 5-meter-long shuttle weighing some 2 tons, filled and covered with sensors to fulfill its task.
IXV is a technological re-entry demonstrator whose purpose is to experiment the technologies associated to the atmosphere re-entry, which is a very challenging task. I would say the most challenging task among the space business. This is something that Europe has never done before with a lifting body with this shape.
IXV will be launched by Vega, Europe's lightweight rocket, into a suborbital path. After separation, it'll fly over the Earth to reach the re-entry point and begin validating critical atmospheric re-entry technologies as it cruises to its final destination. Launched from South America, it'll splash down in the middle of the Pacific Ocean less than 2 hours later.
The
first objective is to measure, with the help of more than 300 pressure and temperature sensors, all the phenomenon that will allow us to validate the aerothermodynamical behavior of the vehicle in hypersonic flight. The second objective is to validate the in-flight performance of all the advanced thermal protections used, which are ceramic and ablative materials. Having successfully completed the development, qualification and test phases, IXV is now getting ready for launch from Europe's spaceport in Kourou, French Guiana. With this launch, IXV will not only set an important milestone in Europe's path to future autonomous atmospheric re-entry vehicles, it will also be Vega's 4th launch, demonstrating all the potential and diversity of the latest European launcher for sending all types of payload to many different orbits.
We are waiting now for the DDO to call out confirmation of the end of the first Avum burn. That'll come in about 1 minute. Salvatore, you told us about the low points. How about the high points?
High points. I think the first high point is today to be here to see this spectacular launch and mission. And what I can say also is that I never seen any project, the commitment, the personal commitment for the people working together from industry and agency all together really was something remarkable.
And you had an international team.
Yes, we do have Belgians, Italians, French, Spanish, you name it, all the European countries.
We asked Jean-Jacques Dordain earlier about the launcher director, the orbiter is not part of the satellite, it's part of the launcher division. Do you have anything to add to what he said?
But basically, I think the first thing to say is that we are flying in the same environment as a launcher. That's why it's the natural place to be. We are flying through the atmosphere. Yeah. We are going down, the launcher is going up, so we experience the same type of phenomenon. We're also using a lot of launcher technology, starting from our propulsion system for attitude control to actuators for the flap. They are all inherited from launcher technology, so there are several reasons which justify the choice.
Okay, we're waiting for confirmation of the extinction of the first Avum burn. You can see on the animation that it has happened. So we are now coasting?
Yes, now we will have a short coasting phase before separation. This is typical to just, let's say, orient the payload before separation. It's called typically tranquilization phase to achieve the correct separation conditions.
Our next film is on the Vega Verta program. You'll be hearing from Renato Lafranconi. Back with more in a moment.
The Vega flight VV04 is a very significant launch for ESA, and in particular for ESA launchers, considering its payload is developed by ESA launcher. It's the experimental vehicle IXV, which will demonstrate technologies for new generation launches. And because it is a Verta flight, it's the second Verta flight, with a basic objective to demonstrate the capability of the launch system to perform equatorial launches. The demonstration of Vega launch system capabilities to deliver a wide range of missions in different orbits, together with implementation of lessons learned and with relevant cost reduction measures, are key objectives of the Verta program and will be key assets for the future operator in order to have a competitive launch system in the market. 2015 will be a year full of launches for Vega. There will be 3 launches planned. Following IXV1, there will be the launch of Sentinel-2A of the GMES Copernicus program, which will be an exploitation launch operated by Arianespace mid-2015. And the year will end with the launch of LISA Pathfinder, a scientific mission developed by ESA, which will be the last Verta launch, such opening the way to the start of a pure exploitation phase.
All is well on board, as we're going to go to Torino, I think, again. You can see on the bottom left of your screen our altitude, 322 kilometers, the separation of the spaceplane due at 340 kilometers. Can I say spaceplane? Is that accurate?
Yes, that's indeed what it is. It's a mix between an airplane and a spacecraft.
It's a plane with no wings.
It's a plane with no wings.
The 45th mission for the European Space Agency by Arianespace tonight. In our next short film, we get a look at the role of the Turin Mission Control Center.
The Mission Control Center in Altec will coordinate the entire mission of the IXV. This will be done through the acquisition, storage, display of all the telemetry data the vehicle will send on ground. There will be 3 ground stations on ground. The first one is the Libreville one in Gabon in Africa. The second one is the Malindi in Kenya. And the third one is embarked on a recovery ship that will recover the vehicle after the splashdown. All these elements are interconnected communicated via an interconnection network that is able to provide a very reliable communication system and interconnecting system.
You see our altitude on the bottom left. We're approaching 340 kilometers, which is where the space plane is going to be separated. Salvatore, less than a minute to go for separation. What is going through your mind?
Yes, at this moment we're just waiting separation, so I'm really concentrating on this event, which triggers all the systems on board of the IXV, and basically will start our mission. So it's really a critical moment.
It's a moment of concentration and of focus as we await the DDO to announce separation of IXV. Again, with a bit of
fin de visibilité lanceur par la station d'ascension.
We're still waiting for the confirmation of separation. Again, perhaps some telemetry delay. Again. But when she starts, her mission lasts 80 minutes from separation to splashdown. Because she makes a suborbital flight, as you mentioned before. Gentlemen from, are those gentlemen from your team?
Yes, on the right you see Giorgio Dumino is the project manager.
Right, and they were on the phones,
Fin de la phase d'orientation.
waiting for the signal.
Séparation IXV.
There, the DDO has said separation of IXV. You can see Stefano Bianchi leaning back in his chair, and you hear the applause.
So we have now the separation, and in the coming minutes there will be a lot of activities on board of IXV, from switching on the transmitters and sending down data to our stations to initialize the propulsion system and prepare everything for the re-entry mission, which will come up.
You see how that happens, the space plane pushing away from what's left of the mothership. That was the rest of the AVM, the fourth stage. Is it fair to say, Salvatore, that the first 4 Vega flights, tonight the 4th, all testing a different configuration of the launcher? I recall the first flight carried a rather complicated payload and platform, heavy satellites, CubeSats. And then the second flight testing the carrying structure. We'll get the answer before in a minute. We're going to the launch replay first. I think we have 3 shots. No? We have many different observation posts here at the base. Here's the rest of it. And I think there should be one more. But what I wanted to ask you was, the second flight tested the carrying structure. The third flight last April tested a single satellite, as we watch the third
acquisition of IXV telemetry from Libreville Station.
Now
this is a fantastic
we just got the
news.
You're smiling in from ear to ear. This is what we've been waiting for. And you hear the applause again. This is almost as good as the separation.
This means that all the systems on board of IXV are operational and functional and working, and we are getting a good telemetry.
That is good. So that's a big, big plus. So to answer my question, tonight we're testing a re-entry system. So the first 4 Vega flights, all for testing part of the vehicle.
And in addition, this is the first Vega flight flying on an equatorial trajectory, which is quite unusual for Vega.
That's right.
And basically are testing also the use of a new ground station network for Vega, which is typically used for Ariane.
Right, as we go east. The stations that have been picking us up in Natal in Brazil, Ascension Island, and as you just heard, Libreville in Gabon and the west coast of Africa, and Malindi in Kenya on the east coast of Africa. So we'll go soon to the recovery ship, I guess, huh? That will soon take center stage. So you want to have a few words on the recovery ship?
Yes, the recovery ship is in the middle of the Pacific, ready to move towards a splashdown point after the vehicle landing. And it's about 25 kilometers away from the nominal splashdown point.
Right.
It's a ship which is basically being hired by ESA from an Italian company which operates normally this type of vessels for rescue operations.
Which is a rather unusual move, no? That you hire a ship?
Yes, well, in ESA we are not used to this type of operations very often, so yeah.
Now, are the crew on the ship going to be able to see the splashdown?
I think considering that they are...
Hold on, we'll get the answer.
All right.
We're going to go to another film now. On the ship.
Welcome on board, Nosarians. This is certainly no ordinary ship, and these are certainly no ordinary crew members. This ship came all the way from Genoa and went through the Panama Canal and is now in the Pacific Ocean. The target destination of the IXV's recovery ship and its team of mission engineers is slightly north of the equator line, some 2,500 nautical miles west of Colombia's coasts, on a circle 25 kilometers from IXV's target splashdown spot.
We are inside the main deck of the Nosarians, the recovery ship of IXV. Our team is responsible for the naval station.
And soon recovering the Pacific Ocean. Today, my first thought obviously goes to the Italian space industry, which is the main architect, not to say the leader, of IXV outstanding mission, and more generally, a major contributor to the European space endeavors. On the one hand, with the launch vehicle, Vega, placed under the prime contractorship of ELV, a company jointly owned by Avio and the Italian space agency ASI. Today's flight, the fourth success of Vega in as many attempts, is one more confirmation of the Italian excellence in the field of launch vehicles. Congratulations to Coleferro's teams. On the other hand, this Italian leadership is on the payload, the intermediate experimental vehicle built by Thales Alenia Space in its Torino factory. I propose not to comment more than that because we will see in some minutes how things are going. Today, the CAG is very Italian, and we like that because it shows the strength of European nations when it comes to space capabilities. So let me warmly thank Roberto Battiston, President of the Italian Space Agency, for honoring us with his presence and for ASI's unwavering support to our programs. Thank you, Roberto. Coming back to Vega, 2015 promises to be a decisive year, with 3 missions forecasted in our manifest, targeting 3 different applications. Today, space technology development with IXV, later this spring, Earth observation with Sentinel-2A as part of European Union Copernicus program, and in autumn, science with LISA Pathfinder for the European Space Agency. Vega is indeed keeping us with its promises. From a technical standpoint, first, thanks to its flawless record so far and to its versatility, truly demonstrated by the variety of missions it is able to address. From a commercial standpoint as well, since Vega proves to be well adapted to the needs of its core customers, this is to say, users of Earth observation satellites. 80% of Vega's order book is now dedicated to serve this specific market segment. Last year, Arianespace and ELV signed a procurement contract for 10 additional Vega units. It was a bet. I can tell you that we were right to make this bet because today we have already booked 8 missions out of this 10 exploitation batch. On behalf of Arianespace, I would also like to take this opportunity to remind how proud Arianespace is to provide Europe with a reliable and independent access to space. Tonight, as a contributor to space technology development with ESA, but more generally at the service of all European institutions with a launch vehicle family capable to address the full scope of space applications. 2015 will see no difference with a wide span of missions using Vega, Soyuz, and Ariane 5 for the European Commission, the European Space Agency, EUMETSAT, as well as French and Italian ministries for defense. Among these institutions, let me place the emphasis on the European Space Agency, for once in charge of this launch in the frame of Vega transition phase from development to recurring exploitation. IXV being the 45th ESA payload orbited by Arianespace launch vehicle so far, today is indeed the perfect occasion to express my gratitude to ESA and to its Director General, Jean-Jacques Dordain, for the successful partnership we have implemented for more than 3 decades now. So thank you very much to ESA. VV04 was thus our first launch in 2015, which is expected to be as busy as 2014. Despite our increased experience, it will remain a challenge for sure. So, in French, j'aimerais remercier tous les salariés de la base. J'aimerais remercier notre partenaire du CNES CSG,
all our partners at CNES CSG and all the teams of Arianespace for their commitment and availability at this beginning of year. This year is going to be very busy, but that is good. We are ready for that. And thank you to all our partners for the beginning of this year that has started off really well with this mission. I would also like to say a word to thank the town of Kourou, which will be heading the community of Ariane cities. It took place a few days ago, and I would like to thank Kourou for its commitment in this organization.
Distinguished customers and even operator for this launch, to Jean-Jacques Dordain.
Merci, merci Stéphane. Je vais me permettre de parler en français.
Stéphane, I'm going to speak in French because I don't have the same emotion in English. 4 launches, 4 successes. That's the grand slam, as they say in tennis. It's a great start. And as Stéphane has just said, that's 4 launches to completely different orbits. This demonstrates not only the capability of the launcher, but also its tremendous flexibility. The capability and the flexibility of the youngest member of the launcher family, together with its big brother, Ariane. A newcomer to the family, perhaps, but it's starting to gain quite a reputation. A very gifted child, shall we say. And I'm sure that the technical successes that we have just seen will lead to commercial successes. And Stéphane has in fact confirmed this. I think that the future for Vega is bound to be good. And to demonstrate our confidence in ESA, in Vega, ESA will be using it twice again this year. There will be the Sentinel-2A launch and LISA Pathfinder launcher as well, again for 2 totally different orbits. Sentinel-2A will go up to polar orbit, and LISA Pathfinder up to the Lagrange point number 1. The Vega mission is finished. I won't say anything about the other part of the mission. And I'd like to thank all of those who contributed to this 4th success. Obviously, the member states, the participating states in Vega, under the leadership of Italy, but with tremendous support from the other participating states as well. Thanks also to all of the member states, which, as I've already said, fund 2/3 of the fixed cost of the space base, which makes it quite a unique place in the world. And this is something that the world envies. We'd also like to thank industry, European industry, led by ELV. Every time there's a launch, you demonstrate your expertise and competitiveness. So, well done. Thanks also to Arianespace, of course. We cooperate with them in order to bring about this transition that I was referring to earlier, moving from the childhood of Vega, going through the operational period. It's difficult. We've seen this with other launches as well. But the transition is something that ESA and Arianespace are trying to secure together. Thanks also to the CNES, CSG, and particularly the CSG. This launch base, and again I said it earlier on, is unique in the world. We're the envy of the world. It's not only unique because of its geographical location, but it's also unique because of the expertise and competence found here. Whether we're talking about industries from Europe, but also the local industries and companies. And I think this is what contributes to the uniqueness of this space base. And my thanks also go to my ESA colleagues, as usual. And my thoughts are particularly, with great respect, addressed to Antonio. What is most reassuring with this success, and this is something that I see whenever I go and take a look at the launcher and the launch base, what is actually particularly positive with Vega is that this program has made it possible for us to bring up a new generation of engineers. They're all young, unlike me. These young engineers, whether they're from ESA, CNES, Arianespace, or industry, show skills and expertise, and that is great news. It's great news because we're about to start on the development of Ariane 6. The DNA for Ariane 6 is a mix of the Vega and Ariane 5 ADN. I won't say which is father, which is mother, but anyhow, the ADN comes from both. The fact that Vega has done this, has introduced a new generation of engineers, is extremely encouraging for the future of Ariane 6. So that's the end of the Vega mission, and now the IXV mission has just begun. It'll be followed by the different control centers, Altec in Turin and ESOC in Darmstadt. And now I'm going to join my colleagues, if you don't mind, and I'll see you all later. Thank you.
Monsieur le représentant du préfet.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I address myself also to the President of the Italian Space Agency, Jean-Jacques, Director General of the European Space Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is quite a day for us. Congratulations to all who, in whatever way, have contributed to this morning's success. It's the first launch of the year from the CSG. For the very first time here in French Guiana, we've seen a launcher go up carrying an innovative re-entry vehicle. We have to underline the tremendous performance of the IXV project. The mission is continuing, but already we can say that the project is opening the future to new technologies. It has ambitious research objectives, such as validation of aerodynamic and thermal fluxes that are very difficult to predict, thermal protection of a new generation that are going to be tested out, and they will accompany future generation launches, and also the implementation of an advanced automatic guidance system that will make it possible to come back to Earth at hypersonic speeds. Now, I have some pilot friends in the room, and that amuses them, but I have to say that I hope that the launches of the future will come to light here at the CSG. So congratulations particularly to the ESA and TAS project teams for having developed this vehicle, IXV. It's a true scientific spacecraft serving technological progress in Europe. Around about 10 years ago, and I can remember this in my previous job, I remember colleagues from CNES and from ESA who were ardently and vehemently defending their vision of research 10 years down the road. They'd already thought of IXV. There were centers involved in research on future launches, and they were thinking about this. And now we've seen that it's become reality and shows tremendous technological prowess. So we impatiently and keenly await the re-entry in the next hour, and I do hope that the data that will be gathered will be rich, because on the basis of this, it'll be possible to go ahead with the research and scientific work that is going to be extremely positive and encouraging for future launches. This launch is a tremendous success, as Jean-Jacques was saying, and Stéphane as well. It's a Vega success. This is the 4th Vega flight, and it confirms that it's totally reliable. And I once again would like to say that the implementation of it is remarkably simple. It's something we've seen every day. On behalf of CNES, I'd also like to congratulate the ESA launcher teams, those of Arianespace and industry, who've been working under the leadership of ELV. Congratulations for this success. This launch is the summum of a lengthy campaign during which we demonstrated the maturity of this launch system. Congratulations to the teams for their tremendous expertise shown up during the campaign operations. Vega was developed by ESA, and it has given Europe a high level of reliability, performance and accuracy. Once again, it is a good example of Franco-Italian cooperation, and it shows that there's a common resolve to move ahead for Space Europe. And it's not just launchers we're talking about here, but orbital systems as well. And we've already seen, for instance, satellites that have evolved from this cooperation. We've seen them being launched from here. We can also say it's a success for the launch range. This fourth launch was particularly innovative. It was the first Vega to the east and the first Vega launch with Vega carrying a suborbital vehicle. Now, for this launch, it was necessary to use a new relay station at Saint-Georges-de-l'Oyapock, a maritime telemetry station as well. And you've already seen how important telemetry is, because we had to repeat further tests just before the launch, and that caused a few minutes delay. We've also tested a fourth radar, which comes in addition to what the other facilities we have. And all of these innovations require tremendous preparation in order to contribute to guaranteeing the success of the mission. The CSG teams have been working hard on this, and they've shown themselves to be up to the task. Congratulations to everybody. Industries here, our CNES teams, the Ground Subdirectorate of the DLA as well, for their skills and competence, and also the tremendous commitment they've shown and ability to adapt to difficult situations and ability to solve all of the problems. I'd also like to thank those who were dealing with the range safety aspects for this launch. It was particularly tricky. It took a long time and it was difficult. Thanks and congratulations to ELV, Arianespace, ESA, CNES, everyone who's been involved in all of this. The men and women who deployed all of their efforts in order to guarantee a totally safe launch. Safety is our priority, and there will never be any concessions on this, as you know. Security, safety, it's one of the priority aspects of our activity, of our competitiveness. The brand image of the CSG is that we are a safe launch base, and we're determined to preserve this. The safety of our base is also something that we need to thank our state partners for. So I'd like to thank the prefect and the police and armed forces who are constantly ensuring the protection of the base, and particularly in the current climate. So today's success is everyone's success. It's the first launch of the year, and we know that the future challenges will be large in number. We've got a hefty launch program, and we'll have the arrival of Ariane 6. As we look towards this, I'd like to say once again that CNES is fully committed to French Guiana, and I'd like to say that we are committed to working for ESA and the member states of ESA. We are determined, and we work on the basis of sound alliances, such as that between the space sector and French Guiana. And I'd like to thank the local representatives of French Guiana for having voiced their support, and this is particularly precious to us. And as Stéphane did, I'd also like to thank the municipality of Kourou for having taken on the presidency of the CVA for the year 2015. Many thanks for your attention.
Okay, so this is the end of the Arianespace mission for VV04. So just to let you know that we will be back in CSG at the end of March the 27th, for another key European mission. It will be for Galileo. It will be with Soyuz, and we will have a third mission for Italy and France with Cicral in April the 15th. So the European years goes on here from CSG.
Now the video transmission will be resuming in less than 40 minutes. And if I have counted well, we should have the end of the mission at noon 20. So thank you very much, and let's be concentrated for the last part of the mission, the IXV part. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
We're going to go to some shots again of the replay of the launch. The reason for the speeches is that the first part of the mission of our broadcast is coming to a close. So you heard both from Stéphane Israël and Jean-Jacques Dordain. Here's the replay from another angle. You want to say something about the satellite?
Yes, I can confirm that we have received signals from Libreville and Malindi that all the parameters are nominal. The spacecraft is ready to start the re-entry mission, which will be in about half an hour when we reach 120 kilometers altitude again.
So all is well?
All is well.
And you're a happy man?
Yes.
Okay. We should be going to shots of Turin also, and we may also finish the film on the boat, Nos Arias, and then we will probably be back to say a temporary goodbye, because we will leave you for about 35 minutes, as Stéphane Israël said. And when we come back, we will have the parachutes and the splashdown and all that exciting stuff. So you don't want to miss all that stuff. The Ariane Space Vega ship performing flawlessly and separating the spaceplane, the wingless spaceplane, as we've decided to call her, exactly on time.
On the screen you see now the plot of the trajectory of the IXV, and you see in the middle, or this big circle in white, where it is located. Basically it is in the middle of...
And that's where the spaceplane is?
Yes, that's where it is. It's above India, more or less.
Above India, and she has to cross India and cross Asia and splash down in the Pacific.
Right.
And she flies, only her mission's about 80 minutes.
Yes.
You're looking into the Mission Control Center there at Turin. Do you know any of these faces?
Yes, they are all my colleagues. There are some from TASI, some from ESA. This is the avionics responsible from ESA, Stéphane Ducy. And behind you see...
We heard from him in
yes,
the film.
Yes, indeed. You saw him in the film.
All right, so they are...
Behind him there is the safety responsible on Lilian, on the Mission Control Center.
So roughly like the Mission Control Center here, maybe a bit smaller. Where is this?
And these are live images from the ship.
That looks like the ship, right?
Yes, yes, it is. And I don't see very well, but there is the operator of the antenna, which is looking back, cannot recognize the other people.
So the man on the phone on the left...
The man on the phone is the safety responsible from Jupiter here. I think he's talking to the other guy, which we saw before in the Mission Control Center.
So the Mission Control Center seem to, well, they're not the same, but they have the same sort of responsible people and the same jobs and
indeed,
the same desks and computers, I imagine. And there is
the fast boat.
That's one of the Zodiac.
Yes, exactly.
They call them.
This fast boat will leave as soon as we give them the signal of the splashdown, and will reach the vehicle very, very quickly. Yeah. Because the ship will take some time before covering the 25 kilometers. So
ship takes about half an hour.
Yes, it will take about half an hour, while they will get there in about 10 minutes to secure the IXV.
So this is one of the Zodiacs. How many are there?
There are two.
There are two.
I think the other one is with the cameraman on board, so we cannot see.
Good call. That's probably right. So they are going to make their way, once they realize where the splashdown has occurred, they'll go over there. All right, we're going to go to the film on the ship that we've been talking about that will retrieve IXV when she splashes down. And then after that, we'll be back to say a temporary goodbye.
Welcome on board Nos Arias. This is certainly no ordinary ship, And these are certainly no ordinary crew members. This ship came all the way from Genoa and went through the Panama Canal and is now in the Pacific Ocean. The target destination of the IXV's recovery ship and its team of mission engineers is slightly north of the equator line, some 2,500 nautical miles west of Colombia's coasts, on a circle 25 kilometers from IXV's target splashdown spot.
We are inside the main deck of the Aries, the recovery ship of IXV. Our team is responsible for the naval station. The naval station is made by the telemetry system, but it is also composed by a meteo station, and we have also video recording equipment.
Only a few days before the launch and on board, the clock has started ticking. Antenna, telemetry receivers, all systems need to be carefully checked and operations rehearsed. On February the 11th, the ship will release weather balloons to check the wind conditions over the Pacific and provide information on IXV's descent path. If weather and sea conditions allow, then IXV will be launched on top of a Vega rocket, sent 420 kilometers up into space before beginning a long glide back through the atmosphere. During this journey, Arianespace will receive the readings from IXV's 300 sensors.
Our team will control the antenna, which is a 2-meter dish antenna, from this position, point it toward the IXV using the trajectory predicted by the Mission Control Center, and using the antenna we will receive the signal from the vehicle, which will send us all the recorded measurements made during the most important part of the flight.
The ship's antenna will then pick up the beacon signals to locate the craft in the middle of the ocean.
At the splashdown, first people that will reach the vehicle into the ocean will be the divers. The ship crew will bring us to the point where IXV will be floating into the ocean, and then they will take care to retrieve the vehicle from the ocean, securing it on the main deck of the ship.
Mission engineers will then retrieve the cards storing all data collected during the flight, a wealth of information that will help guide the design of future spacecraft bound to return to Earth.
So you can see the trajectory, you can see the white circle where we are. We are still over India, and we'll be making our way north of Australia, eventually into the Pacific, where we'll have splashdown in a little over an hour and some. We're going to cut away in a moment and be leaving you for about half an hour, I think. And then we will come back and we will have the final half, the final part of the mission. So you don't want to miss it, because we're going to have the splashdown of our passenger, IXV. In the meantime, you can follow all the action on the 3D animation and the curve, which will continue to appear on your screens. Development, just before we go, a couple of notes on cost. You might be wondering, development of Vega cost 710 million euros, funded through ESA contributions from 8 member nations, Italy of course, France, Germany, Spain, Belgium, Netherlands, Switzerland, and Sweden also contributing. Today, all ESA member nations are concerned. Another 76 million euros came from direct industrial investment by Avio in the development of the first stage, remember, also called the P-80. And the IXV, we are told, costs about 150 million. That includes the ground segment, does not include the launcher, of course, which is roughly the cost of your standard low Earth orbit satellite, which is not bad for such a machine. So, as we close out the first half of the broadcast, it's a big year for Vega, with 3 missions coming up. After today, in June, she will be launching Sentinel-2. That's a high-resolution Earth observation mission. You won't want to miss that one. Then in September, Lisa Pathfinder was mentioned by Mr. Lafranconi earlier in one of the films. Lisa Pathfinder will go to the Lagrange point for in-orbit testing of new technologies, and then is when Arianespace and ESA can move into the full exploitation phase of the launcher. So with those news items, we will leave you, and we'll be back for the second half of the mission. Enjoy the break, everybody. Welcome back. Joshua Jampel here with Salvatore Mancuso. We hope you enjoyed the interlude and continue to follow the progress of Vega and the IXV. Saw some pictures of the boats. All has been perfect. You were down on the fishbowl during the blackout. What did you find?
So I found out that basically all is nominal, as I was saying at the beginning, and we got also the confirmation of the separation conditions, which appear to be those expected. So we should be really re-entering in the correct gate, and we should be acquiring, in fact, a ship signal in a couple of minutes.
If you just joined us, the story so far, successful liftoff, and everything since has been successful. If you've forgotten, these shots may remind you. IXV separated right on time. And anything you want to say on the blackout?
Yes, we had this blackout for after Libreville because of visibility coverage. This is typical also of Ariane flight.
True, yeah, but for a different reason.
Yes, and then we had another blackout, which is what we are experiencing now, which is due to the fact that we have a plasma hot air surrounding the vehicle.
Acquisition of IXV telemetry from the naval station in the recovery ship. The trajectory parameters are nominal.
This is a fantastic news.
You just gave me a thumbs up, son.
Oh my God. So we have received the signal from the ship, which means that the IXV has flown successfully the re-entry mission, and we are receiving the telemetry, which is really the core, the juice of the mission. So this is a really fantastic news.
So the ship is where now? Not the ship. The space plane is where?
Sorry?
The space plane is where now?
Yes, it's about I would say around 50 kilometers altitude, but it's still traveling. It's still far from the ship. I couldn't tell you how many kilometers, probably 100, 200 kilometers away.
It's over the Pacific then, I imagine.
It's over the Pacific, and soon we will have the start of the parachute sequence, which is another critical phase.
That comes in about 3 minutes. But before that, our next film is going to see how IXV is testing and mastering its technologies.
Imagine being dropped from an altitude of 400 kilometers, having to re-enter the atmosphere at a speed of 7.5 kilometers per second, while facing temperatures of more than 1600 degrees Celsius. This is the odyssey awaiting IXV, Europe's intermediate experimental vehicle when it is launched on board of Vega. ESA's technological re-entry demonstrator is as big as a family car, with a cone shape to facilitate re-entry.
The IXV has a lifting body shape, so basically it's different from a capsule. And the peculiarity of this shape is that interacting with the atmosphere while re-enters from space is capable to generate a lift. And so this allows the vehicle to be guided during its re-entry, and this allows to reach a more precise point during the re-entry.
During its 2-hour flight, IXV will try to better understand the interaction between environmental pressures and structural components of the space vehicle, and it will test new materials to avoid burning up during re-entry.
The vehicle is filled up with more than 300 sensors to investigate the critical aerothermodynamic phenomena. Then it integrates advanced thermal protection systems made by ceramic matrix composites as well as ablative systems.
A third important objective of this mission is to understand how to improve guiding the space vehicle through this very tough journey. We need to be able to guide the space vehicle so that it can navigate through the atmosphere with the right angles that will allow the vehicle to withstand the pressures and frictions which occur during re-entry. The knowledge gained by IXV will add to the data provided by its predecessor, the atmospheric re-entry demonstrator launched on the third Ariane 5 flight in 1998. During its mission, the ARD recorded and transmitted to the ground more than 200 critical parameters for analysis of the flight and behavior of onboard equipment. Compared to the simple ARD capsule, IXV's lifting body shape, new materials and advanced in-flight technologies, such as guidance navigation control, increase the scientists' expectations. Mastering re-entry technologies is key for a wide range of applications in future space transportation. including planetary exploration, returning samples back to Earth, and sending astronauts into space. It can also open the doors to the future development of European reusable launcher stages.
They said in the film, and you also said it earlier, this is the hot part of the trip.
Actually, now we are getting out of the hot part, and we are getting ready for the deployment of the parachute. I've been hearing in the background the mission director saying that all parameters are nominal, so it's very good news.
That's what we want to hear. Tell us about the parachutes now. There are 3 of them.
Yes, there are 3, and the first one is coming up soon. It's a supersonic parachute. We are now about speed of 1.5 times the speed of sound. So this first parachute will slow us down to subsonic speed, so below speed of sound. And then we will have another one, a subsonic one, stabilizing the vehicle to the optimal condition for the deployment of the main parachute, which will descend us to the splashdown at the correct velocities.
And when you say main parachute, I guess it's the biggest, right?
It's the biggest. It's about 30 meters diameter.
A final film now before splashdown from Thales Arianespace, makers of IXV.
IXV program at Thales Arianespace is to integrate the companies coming from more than 40 European company, university and research institute. A consortium of entities spread over 10 countries.
The intermediate experimental vehicle is targeted at in-flight testing of critical systems and technologies for re-entry. As such, the first challenge we as prime contractor had to face had been the integration and harmonization of on-the-edge technologies into a complex and flying system.
IXV will be the first flight model to use high-thrust monopropellant propulsion. We've been working in close cooperation with the ExaMars project to develop a new type of feeder line to the different high-thrust motors. We've also developed new processes to decontaminate the vehicle after splashdown in the South Pacific.
Having led this complex project has signified for Thales Arianespace a huge step forward in mastering re-entry technologies and in getting ready for the future.
My thoughts are with the Thales Arianespace AIT propulsion teams, who will be spending 28 days at sea in a novel operation to decontaminate the propulsion subsystem once the vehicle has been recovered from the ocean. We're proud to take part in what will be a premiere for Europe. The subsystem will need to be decontaminated on the deck of the vessel using a new oxygenated water-based process.
We managed in 6 years to develop and deliver the vehicle at this ground segment in line with the commitment we took with our customer ESA in terms of schedule and financial budget.
So in about 10 seconds, the first parachute, it's the supersonic parachute, will be jettisoned. And about 30 seconds after that, the second parachute, stabilizing parachute, the subsonic one, will go. The second parachute is supposed to stabilize the vehicle until it reaches the correct altitude and meets its speed conditions.
I think we have
from the ship out there.
Yes, live images from the ship. Trying to get, not yet, because we have not yet deployed the main parachute, but if possible, they will try to get live images.
Do you think they can see the...
It should be visible, but I see that there are some clouds, so it will be difficult. It will be low on the horizon, and there are clouds, so I'm not sure.
But at least it's daylight. It's after 7:30, I think, roughly, in the morning. So this system is for landing on water. It's just... has been selected specifically for this mission. It's not going to be standard for the other missions, is that right?
Right, correct, because in this mission, basically we were concentrating on the so-called hypersonic range, very high speed, and so we didn't really need to investigate the lower speed regime. So we selected this type of a system with a supersonic parachute, 3 stages to just recover the vehicle, but for the next system we are planning to land on ground, and so we will have to select a different system.
That's the Pride system, which Jean-Jacques Daudin was talking about earlier. So we have had a apparently deployment of the main
parachute opening confirmed.
So the DDO has confirmed now, actually the mission director, sorry, has confirmed now the opening of the main parachute, which is basically the last main event before the splashdown. We will have now a few other events.
The main parachute slows the vehicle to about, what, 5 meters per second?
5 meters per second, about 20 kilometers per hour. And this is the landing speed on water.
And all the while, the vehicle is continuing to transmit telemetry data. You see the men from ESA, Mr. Dordain and Mr. Bianchi, standing behind, very alert, watching the screens.
So I think the camera is trying to get the parachute, but there are clouds low on the horizon, so it's difficult to see.
Splashdown due in 9 minutes.
So there are now some operations taking place. So we will have first the jettisoning of the so-called flotation panels, and then the inflation of the balloons. And before there were the operations needed for purging the system, which is the propulsion system. To allow
passivation.
Exactly.
That's what they do on Ariane. They get the fuel out for. Then we get the jettisoning of the balloon panels and the inflation of the balloons. Now the balloons are also beacons, which will help localize the vehicle. Yes,
they have 2 beacons for redundancy, which will send a GPS signal to satellites and will be broadcasted to the ship and will help localize the vehicle during the final descent on the water.
Tell us in all what % of the system is in the European system is new, has not been used before.
This is of course a second time, as we said before, that we do a re-entry in Europe. So it's I would say it's more than 90% is new.
Really?
We are using equipment, electrical equipment, as we said before, from launches, but all the rest is brand new.
And some of the unused before, what? You mentioned some ceramic.
Right. The main thing, I see the
boats are heading
fast
off.
boat is departing. So we have, I think, a confirmation. We should have confirmation on the splashdown point.
Descending speed is confirmed nominal at 7 meters per second,
and
including
the mission director has just confirmed the descending speed is the nominal one.
That's right, and you see the 2 boats heading off, so they must have either spotted it or got the
Yes, I think
telemetry.
they probably saw it and are moving towards it.
To know where it is.
Yes, so it's also very good news. I hope, I don't know if we will be able to see live images of the vehicle, because I see that actually the camera is on board the ship and not on the fast boats, so I'm afraid we will not be able to see the images.
So how does the ship actually recover the IXV, because the 2 Zodiacs go first?
Yeah, the 2 Zodiac go first to make sure that they reach the vehicle as soon as possible.
Propulsion system sequence properly completed.
They also have to, don't they, first see that there's no toxic material?
Exactly, because the propellant we use is rather toxic, so they need to make sure that there is no leakage, and so that they can get close to it and start the recovery operations. To answer your previous question, basically at the same time that the fast boats are going towards the vehicle, the ship is also moving forward, but being slower, it will reach the vehicle in half an hour, I believe.
So how do what do the Zodiacs do first when they come to the
yes, on board the Zodiacs there are divers, professional divers, which, as we said before, will make sure that there is no leakage of the toxic material. Then they will secure the vehicle with additional flotation system to make sure that in case of problems the vehicle does not sink. And will cut the parachute which remained attached, and will secure it with ropes for the ship then to come and pick it up with the crane.
There's a crane on board the big ship?
Yes, there is a big crane, but the ship, of course, it will take time to reach the vehicle, so they need to secure it before the ship arrives.
So when the ship comes up to the space plane, the crane, the arm of the crane, actually reaches into the water and lifts it out of the water onto the deck.
Exactly. So the vehicle will be put on the deck, and the decontamination operations will follow up, just to spray the vehicle with fresh water to make sure that there is no leakage of toxic propellant.
So I was going to ask you, how close can the big ship get to the?
No, it will get very close, because it needs to operate the crane, so it will be there.
Right. I was going to ask you, you've been on the ship before, you said.
Yes, I've been on the ship for the recovery rehearsal. It was out of the coast of Livorno in Toscana in Italy. And yes, it was quite exciting because we have developed also a mock-up, very fully representative of the shape of the vehicle and the mass. So it's a kind of IXV2, which of course doesn't fly. And we have used that to do all the recovery rehearsals operations.
So you were there once. Do you regret that you're not on the ship now tonight?
Well, on one side, I think that the people on the ship must be very excited at this very moment. But on the other side, thinking about that they need to stay 1 month on the ship in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
That's long, yeah. And you're not a good sailor, is that what you're saying? Okay. So we're waiting. We have 4 minutes to go before splashdown. Hopefully we'll be able to see it.
All IXV flotation panels have been ejected.
So it's confirmation from the mission director that the flotation panels have been ejected. And so as I was saying before,
that's more good news.
That everything is working nominal. So the next operations are with, as we
Réacquisition de la télémesure du lanceur par la station de Gallio à Kourou.
And this is a DDO announcement of the AVUM, which has sent telemetry and been reacquired by the Gallio.
So the AVUM has made its
La trajectoire du lanceur est nominale.
Yes. So the DDO is now following the AVUM
IXV
trajectory.
recovery ship can visually see the parachute.
And we have confirmation of the mission director that the ship has seen the vehicle parachute.
And you can see the reaction here in the hall. We'd like to get some pictures of the ship spotting the parachute coming down.
We will get them, but I don't think in real time.
We'll get them later. Yeah. Do you want to talk about how the why such a mission? Did we go over that, or are you too excited in your?
I don't know, but yes, we.
Well, for the moment, all eyes are concentrated here in Jupiter. Yes. It is a very, I don't want to say tense, but it's a focused moment. It's a concentrated moment.
Yes.
And people have been through satellite separations before, but they've not, I don't think, been through something like this.
No, we had, as we also say, so in the previous movie, the ARD experience in '98, which was quite similar, but with a very different vehicle and a more simple one.
Simpler vehicle, yeah.
Yes, here I think one of the most advanced features of the IXV is also the fact that it has flaps, so aerodynamic surfaces, so it maneuvers like a plane through the atmosphere. And this
without
is a
wings.
unique feature. Without wings.
The wingless plane.
Loss of IXV telemetry from the naval station, fully nominal.
Now the mission director announced the loss of the telemetry from the station, which means that the vehicle is splashed down very likely, because when he goes at very low altitude, the antenna is not able to follow anymore the telemetry signal.
So we didn't see it.
No, unfortunately we could not see it.
It looks like low clouds or fog or...
Also the resolution of the camera is not very high.
This is true.
But we had confirmation of from the mission director that the people on board the ship saw the parachute open, so that's a good sign.
So we're waiting for confirmation of splashdown. 1 minute to go. All eyes are concentrated here on Jupiter. There's the shots of Turin on the right, where they also are waiting for...
and you see there the mock-up I was talking about before, the representative vehicle that we used for the recovery.
That's the one that you were
yes.
you were on the ship.
Yes.
When you, how much is that? Does that weigh the same?
Same mass, same size, same shape.
20 seconds to go until splashdown of IXV, concluding the 4th Vega mission. Well, I see some happy people on the boat.
I think they have reached the vehicle from the excitement that we see on the boat.
Hands in the air, hugs. Too bad we don't have sound.
Yeah.
There they are. They look, yes.
So I think there is confirmation
there we are. Well,
that we have reached the vehicle.
I think we can take that for a yes.
Yes, definitely. What a fantastic mission. Full success.
So tell me, after the good news, What's going
Tous
through
les
your mind
paramètres vous me sont normaux.
now after the successful splash?
Yes, right now just excitement. And yes, I don't know, getting ready for the next step. We have a
lot of work
plans,
coming up.
Ambitious plans with the Pride program. Will be the next step. Will be an operational demonstrator. So
that's the one that's going to come down on land.
Yes, the one that's going to come down on land and remain in orbit for some time before re-entering.
Well, some very telling images. The mood here you can see very buoyant in Jupiter and all across the Space Center and at all the points and posts, including ships and mission control centers in Torino and everywhere. Everywhere where people are working or following the mission are parts of it. So from the concentrated moments just minutes ago, you can see the change of mood.
Everybody seems very relaxed and happy now.
Sorry. And I imagine the champagne and the cigars are going to be forthcoming.
Tonight there will be big parties, I think.
I think so. Vega's mission is over, and the IXV mission is over as well, right?
Yes. Well, now there is the recovery part, which we will not see because the ship will take some time to approach the vehicle with the crane, the lift of the vehicle on board the ship, securing it and decontaminating it.
The mission is over, but our show, our broadcast is not. We're waiting for our traditional post-launch speeches. We'll be hearing again from Stéphane Israël of Arianespace and likely from Jean-Jacques Dordain again. We may be hearing from the Italian Space Agency and from Thales Alenia. I see Mr. Dordain is at the podium. His will be the next voice you hear.
Donc le vol, comme vous l'avez entendu, le vol.
Well, as you have just heard, the IXV flight has come to an end, according to plan, in the Pacific Ocean. We have the information. We've seen all of the information that was available throughout the trajectory as soon as we recovered the signal. Everything was nominal. It couldn't have been better, but the mission itself is not yet over, because now it's going to be necessary to analyze all of the data that was collected throughout the flight. Even though there was the 40-minute blackout period, which was quite normal, we do have onboard recorders that make it possible to gather all of the data for the entire trajectory. So the data analysis part of the work is to begin soon. It'll be hard work, but it will move the frontiers of knowledge further back concerning aerodynamics, thermal issues, guidance and navigation of such a vehicle, this carrying body. And thanks to such analysis, it'll be possible to prepare for the next step. It's already got a name. It's called Pride. It's a good name, you'll see. We've got initial funding that's going to make it possible for us to start the work. We don't have the funding all the way through, but we've got enough to start and to make a serious start to the work. And we're continuing to work towards further innovation, because it's in that way that Europe can be up among the forerunners in space. And I can tell you that we're actually leaders in many areas, particularly when it comes to landing. Nobody has done what we've done. Landing pretty well everywhere in the solar system. We landed on Titan with Huygens. We landed on Mars with Beagle. We now know that, even though at the time we didn't realize. Beagle did actually land on Mars. And we landed on the comet Chury with Philae, the lander. And here, this was a landing on Earth. After the ARD landing in the past, we now had today the IXV landing. The advantage of this is that we once again had far more accurate re-entry than we had with the capsule. And it also means that we're moving a step closer to the reutilization of re-entry bodies, and you know that that is something that's vital for the future of space activities. On Saturday, there will be separation of ATV-5 from the ISS, so I can say that the capability that we have in Europe for in-orbit rendezvous, and that includes what we did with ATV-5 and what we've managed to do with non-cooperative objects, because prior to docking with the ISS, there were a number of tests that were carried out, rendezvousing with non-cooperative objects. So in this way, we've demonstrated our ability for rendezvousing. We've also demonstrated our ability when it comes to perfect atmospheric re-entry. So this means that we are the envy of the world, and we're a sought-after partner when it comes to exploration and transport, because after all, what we're talking about is space exploration and transportation. I would like to thank all of those who've contributed to today's success. I did so before the mission this morning, and I thank them for all of the work they've carried out, and now I can thank them for this success, which is another stage in the work as a whole. There's only one regret I have, and I say this every time round, and that is that success always looks easy. We even had to hold the countdown so that we could give you the impression that things were actually a little more difficult than expected. Whereas in fact, I can tell you that success is the sum total of a huge amount of work. You don't get it for nothing. You have to go out and look for it. And as I said this morning, my colleagues can never provide a guarantee of success, but it's something they always deserve through their work, through their devotion and their expertise. So I truly want to thank you all. Thank you also to industry. And when I say industry, that means 40 industries that have been working on IXV under the leadership of Thales Alenia Space Italy. Once again, you've demonstrated today that you are a highly competitive, world-class industry. So you, in industry, you can be proud of what you're doing. Thank you also to CNES, and particularly to the CSG. I thanked them earlier on for Vega, so now I can thank them for having taken such good care of our very precious vehicle. In other words, the IXV. Thank you also to Arianespace for having prepared this launch. Thank you to the control centers. Once again, they have shown that we're the best pilots in the world. We just need to take a look at the accuracy of the trajectory. Thank you to my colleagues at ESA, particularly to the Launcher Directorate. It really did have a significant role to play today. And, well, I actually came from the Launcher Directorate myself, so I'm particularly fond of it, even though I say that there's just one ESA. When I say affection, it might also be nostalgia to a certain extent. Anyhow, the Launcher Directorate has shown that it can prepare a ministerial council that was a very tough one to prepare, and at the same time give us such an excellent mission. So well done, bravo. And I tend to start usually with the member states, but for a change I'll refer to them now at the end. Thank you, member states, for having placed your trust in ESA. When we say ESA, after all, we mean the member states. It's the member states that are the owners of ESA. The Director General is only the operator. So thank you to all of the member states. They, after all, fund a large part of the CSG. And also thanks to the participating states in IXV, once again under the leadership of Italy. As you see, there's something in common. If you take Vega and IXV, it's Italy and Italian industry. But there is a common core if you take a look at Vega and IXV in other countries, France, Switzerland, Belgium, Spain. They provided tremendous support to Italy for Vega and IXV. And specific support has come from Sweden and the Netherlands, and also Netherlands and Portugal, Ireland and Portugal on IXV. Just goes to show that no member state is a small member state. ESA programs need leaders. The optional programs, if they're to be sound and solid, need a leader because there's an owner. As soon as you've got a leader, there's an owner. So thank you, Italy. I said this morning that it's difficult to be the leader. You're the ones who take most risks. You're the ones who support the program when it's facing difficulties, and I can say that Vega and IXV went through difficult times. That's normal. You have to take risks. But you were always there. You have a reward, nonetheless, and that is that in Italy you've developed an industrial and technological capability that's unique and that will be valuable for the future. So it's a real investment for the future. You've also created a network of friends with the participating states who worked with you, because they were all present whenever you needed to consolidate Vega and IXV. So thank you, one and all. Whenever I see a successful mission, it's a great reward for me. Here, in this case, it represents 7 years of hard work and stress. Today, it was just 100 minutes of stress and tension. A few minutes of pleasure and emotion now. But the pride will remain with me throughout. Thank you.
So, what to add to so many interesting talks, and in particular to such a very frightening, interesting, stimulating 100 minutes, plus some little bit more to keep the attention high. First of all, a big thank. So, I would like to thank, first of all, Jean-Jacques. Jean-Jacques qui a guidé l'ESA.
Jean-Jacques, who guided the European Space Agency. D'accord, vous
Je parle français, l'anglais part.
Sometimes when I speak English, French, I get mixed up.
Many adventures, but in particular, this one of IXV. And I would like to thank him, and through him to thank ESA and all the fantastic team that did all that. I mean, we must acknowledge that the engine, aside of the money, are the people. And people are more important than money, of course. I would take the opportunity to thank, they are not here, but they are in Turin and they're probably listening us, Minister Giannini, representing Italian Ministry of Research, which is the ministry which overviews and support the Italian Space Agency, and Madame Fioraso, the Secretary of State, which is in charge of space and has been instrumental for many programs, in particular for the very fruitful discussion which brought us to the positive conclusion of the ministerial 2014. But aside of thanking these leaders in the various realm, I would like to thank very strongly people which have been at the beginning of this enterprise, in particular Antonio Fabrizi, which is listening to us from Roma La Sapienza, and I think today he had a very satisfactory participation to this historical event. And I would like also to thank all the people which are spending their life in training new engineers. It was said before that the team we have on our my back
the team in ESA, the team in Avio, in ELV, in CNES, of course, are young people, young engineers, young scientists. And without the university and the research and the driving force of people like Antonio Fabrizi, Marcello Onofri, and many others, we will not have the possibility to have these people working today and the new generation following us. Because space is slow, can be very fast as today, but typically it takes a decade from the idea to the development, to the finding the money for that, to the completion, to the success. Sometimes even 20 years, sometimes even 30 years. And the existence of ESA demonstrates that the only way to achieve success in this field is to have people looking for far away, the giants, which give us their direction, or the people on the shoulder of the giants keeping the direction for enough time, or the people working on that, and all of that is possible only through international collaboration. The first time I came to this beautiful location, which is this Kourou base, I felt to be home, because this is really Europe. It's Europe at its best. I told Jean-Jacques the other time, people coming here are proud to be European, because they see the strength of countries working together and not making war together, as was used in the past. And the success is exactly because this is going on for 50 years, and hopefully will go on for many more decades, because space is just at the beginning, and we are just scratching the potential of what can be provided through collaboration in space. Of course, I have to thank many of my Italian colleagues. Has been said repeatedly that this is an Italian-driven project, but I admit that without the collaboration of all, in particular the collaboration with France, no doubt about it, this would never been possible. But let me thank the people in Cira. They are listening to us, a lot of young people, facilities and ideas which have contributed to that and will contribute more in the future. The people in Altec, which have taken over the control of the mission and do the second phase. I know there are 500,000 people there participating to this event, a similar number in Cira, the tremendous participation in Italy to this successful project. And of course the industrial partners led by TASI, Arianespace in Italy, and Selex, and of course many others. The list of companies working on that is very, very long. So Pride to be European, and Pride is also the name of the forthcoming activity in this field. What to do next is not easy. Defining the future takes vision, risk, not be afraid of making a mistake, but clearly in order to develop re-entry technologies we have to have a re-entry program. Somewhere in the future we should know what to do, what to re-enter. People, samples, space planes, whatever. We have to have an idea how to proceed. The step we did today is a tremendously important one, but it's just one step of a long journey. And Pride is exactly a program designed to figure out first what to do next, and then concentrate initial resources for the first phase, knowing that it's a long journey and has to be part of a grander project of getting to space and re-entry from the European side. Maybe on another planet, maybe on Earth, who knows? Space is about surprises, and we have to be ready for that. And let me just finish my little intervention recalling that a few months ago, it was said by the Director General, Europe, ESA, and in particular a few countries which are spending most of their resources to support ESA, made an historical step, again about collaborating to finding a best way of providing launcher to Europe for the next 10, 15, 20 years. It cannot be unnoticed that this has been possible only through collaboration. It would have been very easy to stop it, to delay it, to push because of economic crisis, political tension, or whatever, to the next ministerial and to the next ministerial again. But we did not that. We do have now a very strong program where all is in this base, all is within ESA, all the industrial capability through Europe is making the basis for the next step. We can be very ambitious. I mean, when we hear numbers about what this base and Arianespace and ESA has done on the satellite, on the launcher in the last several tens of years, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. So often we talk about Europe as something slow, something not competitive, somebody that the big other superpower will easily beat. It's not the case. Space is not the case. So if we can do it in space, why we could not do it in several other areas? And since we are not being beaten in space, we are still competitive, we want to be more competitive, I think we will have 50 years in the past, but 50 years in the future to look for a lot of successes. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Jean-Jacques. Thank you to Arianespace, to Philippe, and see you for the next launch very soon, Vega, this year, maybe too. Okay? Thank you so much.
Well, it has been an extraordinary journey since 2009 when we started, and the last 100 minutes have been really exciting. After two speeches as the ones that we have just listened to, there are just few words to add. First of all, I'd like to thank all the industrial consortium. It has been a wonderful team made of people with passion and motivation. I think it has been a really great experience to meet any person of the team, and I think we have demonstrated that Europe can do great things when cooperation is established. I think the 40 companies that have worked in this project have proved to be a really integrated and excellent team. Then I'd like to thank our agency, because they have supported us when the time came to start again with the IXV project, and their passion as well has motivated us to reach what we have done today. The last thank, of course, goes to ESA and to ESA operational team. They have worked with us in a real great and integrated way, and they also pushed us when it was necessary to reach the target of the schedule and the various important checkpoints of the project. And Professor Battistone just said that now it's time to think to the future. I think we as industrial consortium are ready to take the challenge and to, first of all, to assess the data, because we will have a huge amount of data to understand and to work on, and then to prepare for the next step that is already upcoming, that is Pride. Thanks.
Écoutez, il me reste à vous remercier tous.
I'd quite simply like to thank all of you. You've witnessed an exceptional event. It was a mission from beginning to end, right from the very start through to the end. That's not something that happens every day, but it was the case today. And I hope that you will take with you an unforgettable memory. I certainly won't forget it. Nor will I forget all of the men and women who have given us this success. Many thanks, and see you soon, because there's a lot more to come this year. Thank you.
Corey has gone down to join his colleagues. You can't blame a man. He was just too excited. I will say that when we had the hold in the countdown at the top of the broadcast, he did not look like a happy man, but he left here beaming. And there you have it, Vega's fourth launch a success. Congratulations to everybody involved. We will say goodbye over some shots of a final launch replay. Fantastic mission. Everything went very smoothly. An exceptional mission. As Jean-Jacques Dordain said, we're all witness to it. Arianespace once delivered. Tonight with Vega for ESA's IXV. 11 more Vega missions in the order book for ESA and other Earth observation missions, including a double launch and 2 more this year. So until then, on behalf of everybody here at Europe's Spaceport, Joshua Jample here, for Salvatore Mancuso of ESA, saying thank you for being with us. We hope you enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for our 4th launch of the year from the Guiana Space Center, the first with Vega. For today's mission, Vega is set to deliver KaseoSat-1 into a Sun-synchronous orbit. KaseoSat-1 is the first Earth observation satellite to be owned and operated by the Republic of Kazakhstan. Manufactured by Airbus Defence and Space, it will supply high-resolution images enabling to monitor natural and agricultural resources, as well as providing assistance for disaster management. Developed under an ESA program and provided by ELV with ASI and Avio as shareholders, our Vega launcher will carry a total payload mass around 830 kilograms. It shall lift off at 22 hours, 35 minutes and 15 seconds local. From liftoff until spacecraft separation, the elapsed time will be about 55.5 minutes. I would like to thank warmly the Kazakh Space Agency, Kazcosmos, and KGS for entrusting Arianespace with the launch of this key component of the Kazakh space program. My gratitude also goes to Airbus Defence and Space, our customer for this mission, with whom our ties date back to the early times of Arianespace and have constantly strengthened. Last but not least, this mission highlights Arianespace's leading role in the deployment of Earth observation satellite solutions. Indeed, KaseoSat-1 is the 51st satellite involving a payload dedicated to such application and orbited by our launchers. There are 10 more Earth observation satellites in our current order book assigned to the 3 launchers of our family, Ariane 5, Soyuz and Vega. But our 3rd Vega is now being readied for launch, so enjoy the show.
minutes. Before we go, there's some things we want to show you. A look at the launcher first. Vega has 4 stages. The first 3 are running on solid fuel, and the 4th on a liquid propellant. The 4th stage also is reignitable, which is very important because we'll see that later on. Vega is used for small satellites, roughly in the 1-ton class, for scientific and government missions, also for commercial payloads like tonight's. She completes the Ariane family, which can deliver all size missions, with Ariane 5 for heavy satellites and Soyuz for medium-sized missions. Over 1,000 people from 40 countries and industry got together to develop Vega. Very interesting story. We'll have some of it for you later on during the broadcast. We want to show you some of the top key players making the decisions tonight, making the mission happen. This is the flight deck, the high command, the top management. Stefan Israel you saw. Stefano Bianchi of ESA has been involved in the Vega program for 12 years. Caroline Arnoux is actually sitting in for Louis Laurent, who is Arianespace's Senior Vice President for Programs. We'll have an interview with him later on. You can hear him. Edward Perez, you saw, is the top technical officer and the living technical memory of all Arianespace flights. And Patrick Loire rounds out the team, who is head of the company's Kourou facilities. Anything unexpected coming up tonight, their job will be to make the decision what to do. There's Patrick Loire. Patrick Loire. Something else that we keep a close eye on before liftoff, called the green status panels. You see them coming up on the right of your screen there. What they are is a green-red go, no-go summary of everything it takes to launch and fly Vega. The Space Center here covers a vast area. It's about the size of Singapore and offers everything it takes to prepare and fly and monitor the launch vehicle. And the people all across the base send in their information, their data on their systems. It comes in here to Jupiter, which is why it's a nerve center. And all those systems that you saw in the green status panels, the launcher, the launch base, the satellites, and the systems like navigation and safety and the weather come in here. Now, the weather is something we pay particular attention to. We have a last weather check at minus 10 minutes. We had it, and you can see all is still green. So we're go for launch. Anything out of the ordinary coming up, the green turns to red, and we momentarily stop the countdown. Other key players making the mission happen: the mission director, who is an Arianespace person, coordinating activities with the satellite teams, and the range operations manager, also called the DDO. You'll be hearing his voice calling out the key milestones before liftoff and during the flight. We had a look at the launch vehicle. We're going to turn to our passenger now. Kazakhstan is, as was mentioned, Kazakhstan's first Earth observation satellite, and Arianespace, of course, very happy to be part of the venture. The satellite arrived in Kourou last month and went through all of her tests and filling procedures. It will monitor natural resources. It'll do map